What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here with my beautiful co-host, Missy Mimis.
How's it going, guys?
We are out here on this Friday night doing an update video here on the channel. A whole lot of earthquake activity ramping up here, including the latest earthquake here on the globe, a 6.0 earthquake around the Philippines area next to the Celebes Sea, right around the Philippine Plate area. Let's go ahead and check out this movement here along the region here on this area of the world. I don't know what just happened here. Let's go ahead and fix that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what happened. Kids happened. Kids getting a hold of a mouse will do that. Okay, here we go. A lot of movement going on out here along the, the western part here, just west of the Pacific Ring of Ring of Fire. Seen a couple 6-pointers today, including a 6.3 in the Japan area. You can see that 6.3 here into the this little trench area. 41.8 kilometers originally came in as a 6.6 magnitude earthquake. There has been quite a few aftershocks with this earthquake so far. I'm counting 5 4-pointers. I'm sure there's a lot more in this mix of aftershocks, including the latest earthquake here, a 6.0, just shy of the Philippine Trench here along the subduction zone at the southern end. This earthquake at 24 kilometers just south of the Philippines. And quite a bit of movement here, I would say, over the last 12, 24 hours kicking up, including some activity that we did have to the north here, a little bit closer onto the Philippine Trench area prior to all this activity. And there was a couple deep earthquakes here, 113 kilometer for that earthquake and a 104 kilometer deep 4.7.
It's a lot of deep movement.
Prior to this 6.0. It's just whenever we see a lot of movement along the subduction zone at the deeper levels, we can pretty much expect back building of pressure along the locked areas upstream, if you will. And that's kind of what we're seeing over the day today down south here. The Mariana Trench had some movement as well with a 5.2 near Guam. I believe that was from way earlier this morning, it looks like. But overall, activity definitely increasing in this area of the world. Tonga has been seeing some movement as well. Seen some further activity around the Hungatanga Volcano. Of course, been seeing a little swarm of movement out there in this area. Here's the Hungatanga Volcano. You can kind of see it here. There's a little bit better view. Just south, a couple miles or so, seeing a little swarm of fours. Very shallow earthquake activity. Of course, last night we seen some further movement up here across this volcanic chain there, the Tonga volcanoes. Looking at some further movement along the Kermadec Trench as well southward. We did see this deep earthquake here, 4.3 southwest of all the volcanic action, 371 kilometers into the Tonga Trench. And down here along the Kermadec Trench, quite a bit of movement as well, with some deeper movement at 325 kilometers. So a whole lot of westward pressure, if you will, with this entire Pacific Plate there making this journey to the west. Along the eastern part over here, we have seen quite a bit of movement as well into the Gulf of California, including a 5.3 and a 4.4. This is only showing 4.0 and above, so take for granted there is some other 3s kicking up here along this Middle America Trench, which I'll show you on the EMSC model in just a few minutes. But definitely activity taking place here along the Middle America Trench. Had a 4.3 last night, or early this morning in that region. A lot of activity working its way up north along this plate boundary between the North American and Pacific Plate. Here is the West Coast activity. Let's go ahead and bring up the all magnitudes. And you can see movement here in California kind of ramping up along the southern part of the state. We did see this earthquake right here, 3.0, come into the Barrett Station there in Southern California. Pretty nice signature there just a short time ago. Let's see where we're at here on the fault system. Kind of looks like we're just off the Elsinore fault system.
Yep, right
See
there,
that
the
right there?
southern end of it.
Very southern end. We have been seeing quite a bit of movement up north along the San Jacinto fault zone. That's this section right here that runs from the roughly about the San Andreas Fault southward. Very close here to the border of Mexicali. It's a very lengthy fault system. This thing does accumulate quite a bit of stress secondary to the San Andreas Fault. There was a little bit of swarming activity, or at least microquake activity around the Imperial California region at the northern tip of the Imperial Fault, the southern end of the Brawley seismic zone. Salton Sea remains really quiet. Sometimes we do see some swarms kick up here in this region, although right now not a whole lot of activity around the Salton Sea area. Some further movement here along the this, I believe it's still the Elsinore fault system.
Yeah.
1.4 near Temecula at pretty shallow. Look at that earthquake, 0.7
Wow.
on the depth there for the earthquake. Also a trail of movement over here across the Los Angeles jungle, working its way towards the looks like the Rancho Cucamonga area. You can see all this microquake activity on the Pacific side of the plate boundary there in Southern California.
Couple explosions or something around there too.
Quarry blast.
Yeah, quarry blast.
Yeah, they always got quarry blast kicking up here right around the Garlock fault structure as well.
One down there by Corona. Looks
Where's that?
right there.
Oh, I see that right there. Looks like it right outside the some type of lake maybe.
It's an
near
odd
Corona.
place.
Oh, there's mountains out there, so anywhere there's mountains, they
Yeah.
could do some quarry blast for sure. Up north along the Ridgecrest area, some movement kicking up here. Not a whole lot on the Garlock fault structure, just to the north a little bit. They're in the southern end of the mountain range here. Mount Whitney area up here looks pretty quiet. Long Valley supervolcano showing a little bit of activity outside the caldera. And of course, movement kicking up here in Nevada. Seen quite a few ones and some twos earlier today throughout that region of Nevada. Looking up north here, we did see a little bit of activity come into the Petrolia area off the coast of Northern California and inland. You can see a couple small microquakes here, 2.6, the largest in this movement. Somewhat deep subduction zone earthquakes within this area. Tremor map tonight does not, as far as I know, it has not been, it's quiet. It's been updated, and there's 0 epicenters of tremor here in the Cascadia subduction zone. So kind of odd, but we're on that little stretch of very quiet activity. You know, I'm kind of curious to see when this is going to break and when we get back into the swarm of tremor activity with the subduction that takes place here along the Pacific Northwest. Right now it's awfully quiet, so what does that mean? I guess we will find out. Looking at the rest of the states here, let's go ahead and bring the all magnitudes back up. And a little bit of movement scattered about through Oklahoma across the New Madrid zone to South Carolina. This was here earlier. Not a whole lot of renewed movement in this region. There's that swarm in the Gulf of California we got to watch. A lot of times we see activity really ramp up here in the south and then ultimately get a little bit of swarming up here along the Gorda area and also the Blanco fracture zone where we've seen a pretty good significant swarm back earlier or towards the end of 2021 last year. Can't believe it's 2022 already.
No.
What do we got? Idaho Sawtooth Fault System is showing some movement, nothing significant. Yellowstone National Park, just a couple small microquakes there in that region, and a little earthquake out here in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, 2.2 at 7.3 kilometers. Canada, we'll go ahead and check that out while we're on the topic, on the move. And Earthquakes Canada map showing a little bit of activity up here. The purple circle indicating the most recent quake in the northwest, or actually this is outside of Alaska. 2.3 earthquake striking, late last night. That's about the only updated earthquake here on the map. So Canada awfully quiet when it comes to earthquake activity over the last at least 12 hours here. So pretty crazy. Alaska, some movement around the Cook Inlet area, including a 5.1 that struck earlier this morning. A little bit of microquake activity stretching its way up
That one's
towards.
pretty deep.
Which one's that?
That 5.1.
Yeah, 5.1's
117 kilometers.
117 kilometers, and some other deep movement into the subduction zone here. Some shallow activity as well. Along the Aleutian Trench, look what we got going on over here once again. A little swarm of activity. I believe there's a volcano over here, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Although this activity here is pretty darn deep. There's a couple volcanoes out there. But seen some deeper movement out within that region in between these two areas. Quite a few 3s and some 4s kicking up in the Aleutian Trench area. Yeah, pretty crazy. Over here near Russia, 4.4. We had that earlier in the day today, 162 kilometers. Pretty deep movement into the Kuro-Kamchatka Trench. Looking at Hawaii, let's go ahead and check out the big island out here in the Pacific Ocean. Southeast flank looking pretty active, and also some movement around the Kilauea volcano. Mauna Kea showing a little bit of activity up here to the north with a 2.2, and some movement around Mauna Loa as well. This one's been showing a little bit of signs of activity here over the last week within the Mauna Loa area. See all that earthquake activity there, so kind of keep an eye on that region. That it's been pretty quiet. I was reading an article here on the Mauna Loa area, and from what I hear, it's supposed to be at least on an eruptive stage every 5 years or so. And the last one, I believe, was back in 1980 something, in mid 80s.
Oh wow.
But there hasn't been a whole lot of study much prior to that activity back then. But I was reading a little article on the USGS stating that it's been a while since we've seen some eruptive stages here at Mauna Loa. So that's going to pick up here in the near future, no doubt, with that giant volcano out there. Let's see what else we got here in the... this one's an old one from earlier, 5.4. The rest of the area over here, Middle East regions to the west, are pretty quiet, but I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to be seeing some migration of pressure with all this deep and large earthquake activity that has occurred around the Philippine plate today. 2 6-pointers. It's some pretty good movement within a short amount of time here, and I'm sure we'll see some adjustment within this region pretty soon. The North Atlantic Ocean, South Atlantic Ocean, all pretty quiet. South Sandwich Trench, nothing going on up there. Things kind of just on the mellow side at the moment. I do want to bring up the EMSC model, show you guys the activity that I mentioned there along the Middle America Trench. Of course, right now here is 4.0 and above. Pretty much looks about the same as the USGS models go. But to zoom in a little bit, we can see some further activity on the scale here. See if we can get these guys to pop up. They're a little bit on the slow side sometimes. So
Wow, look at all
see
that.
some movement kicking up here. Quite a few threes within this area throughout the day today, up and down the Middle America Trench. Some further movement up into the Gulf of California region that the USGS is really not reporting. They're reporting these 4s down here, but these other ones in the 3 range, 2 and 3 range, not being reported in that area. Also some activity into South America. It looks pretty quiet on the USGS map, but they're having quite a few 3s into the Peru-Chile Trench area as well, up and down this region. So just because it doesn't show anything on the USGS map doesn't mean anything's, that it's not happening. There's definitely earthquake activity pretty much all the time out there along these major areas, including California and throughout the South America region.
And
Here's the
New
Tonga
Zealand.
area, New Zealand area, showing quite a bit of 3s and 4s throughout the day today. And then again, a lot of USGS not reporting some of this activity because of the 4.0 threshold. But the EMSC pretty good at reporting things for sure up and down the Kermadec Trench area, which is pretty heightened in earthquake activity currently. Some movement across the Australia area as well with some 3s throughout the day today, it looks like, and some 2s. A little bit of earthquake activity through Australia. And of course, the movement throughout the Philippine plate and areas north to Japan, all showing definitely some heightened earthquake activity for sure within that region. What else we got here? Did we check out Yellowstone?
I don't think we have yet.
Yellowstone map here. And of course, there is the 6 point... Which one is that? I believe that is the 6.3 that struck in Japan earlier, showing up on the seismographs. And then, of course, we had the other 6-pointer that showing up here within the... it's kind of actually hard to see it. I think that 6.3 was a little bit larger than what they're claiming. But 6-pointer's in there somewhere. As far as earthquake activity goes at Yellowstone, there's not a whole lot, folks. Not a whole lot going on at all. Some microquakes here at this regional station. But other than that, things pretty mellow in the area of Yellowstone tonight. See what we got on the solar weather. Not a whole lot. Things kind of dying off and calming down. The aurora forecast here looks pretty minimal. Solar flare activity at such as well. As far as minimal stuff goes, look at that 15% chance. Things have really dropped off in the C flare department. All other flares look pretty much impossible with a 1% chance there throughout the board. Not a whole lot of sunspot activity at all. 2934 rotating within the Earth view, but not a whole lot going on the sun, right?
Yep.
What else we got going on out here, guys? Just kind of hanging out here on a Friday night, watching the activity. Wasn't there some movement down there around the Palomar Observatory?
There was, I believe, a couple microquakes overnight.
Right there.
Yep.
Couple quakes seem to come and go on occasion at the Palomar Mountain area. There's that observatory that sits here. They did have a pretty good swarm of earthquake activity last month. See if we can bring that up, and definitely see that. Pretty good amount of earthquakes there at the Palomar Observatory area. 160 earthquakes. Just find that kind of odd. That's about. See, it just kind of kicked up and then nothing, right? No major quake, no main quake, just a little swarm of movement within that area. Also, we had some swarming over here along the San Jacinto Fault area.
San Jacinto Fault seen quite a bit of quakes in the last 30 days up and down there.
Yeah, Southern California definitely has seen some swarms throughout this area in certain zones. Every other zone except for, it seems like, the Salton Sea area, which is kind of odd.
The Salton Sea hasn't moved much in a while. We've seen those major swarms and stuff last year, and then just nothing.
Let's see what else we got here, guys. As far as the 30-day goes, we don't need to look at all those earthquakes. What have we got in the Bay Area? A little bit of earthquake activity outside of San Jose, it looks like, around Wesley. 1.2. Some movement, it looks like, along the Calaveras Fault Zone. And also out here in the Bay, San Mateo area, right underneath this bridge. 1.9, 11.5 kilometers. Pretty deep activity in that region.
Reading seeing a little quake, too.
Yeah, just outside of, I'm not for sure, Millville. Kind of up in the mountain range as you start to get up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. Of course, Lassen Peak sits over here. It's all been pretty quiet recently throughout the Sierras in the northern part. A little bit of movement, of course, in the eastern crest as you make your way down south. But Northern California has been pretty darn quiet. The Cascades look pretty quiet as well. Not a whole lot of movement kicking up whatsoever in this area. Let's check out the buoys, see if we have any magical buoys popping off out here. Anywhere? Anything going off? Looking pretty quiet for now. But, with all the movement we're looking at in the Tonga area, of course, there's a lot of threes kicking up here not being reported by the USGS, which is on the EMSC. There's a whole lot going on here around these volcanoes and this subduction zone. So it's a pretty major hot spot when it comes to volcanic activity and potential for larger quake activity right now. Just got to be prepared in that region. What else we got here? Missy Mimi's, anything going on?
No, I think we covered everything for the most part.
We sent out a pretty good amount of manila envelopes yesterday with some decals in it. Channel decals, so look for those in the mail if you did request some. There's a bunch. It takes a long time to write all the addresses down and send out all these decals, but hopefully you guys get them. Hopefully you enjoy them. Free of charge, of course. We're closing in pretty closely on 70,000 subscribers, and we're going to start doing a little bit more announcements on the 75,000 subscriber giveaway, which we'll be doing once we hit 75,000. We'll be doing a drawing, and we'll kind of do it similar to how we did the 50,000 subscriber giveaway. We'll have people enter into a video, and we'll enter all those names into a kind of a drawing, if you will, and pick out 6 lucky people to win some prizes. And I think these will be some pretty cool prizes this time. We'll be giving away some hats and t-shirts as well with the Earthmaster YouTube channel logo and whatnot on it. It'd be pretty cool, I think. It's always nice to win some shirts and hats, right?
Oh, yes. And there'll be other things included, not just that.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Be
kind of like a,
interesting.
a bunch of prizes, right, to each person, and then when we hit 100K, which probably won't be for a little while, but you never know. You know, we could get to 100K the end of this year. You never know. But when we do, we'll be giving away 10 prizes to people, and
That'll be
10 prizes. No, we'll be giving away prizes to 10 people. Yeah,
10 prizes.
10 prizes to everyone.
Yeah, so make sure you guys like, share the videos, subscribe, hit that notification bell so we can hit the mark and we can start giving away some prizes.
But we're really super close to the 75 or 70 right now on the subscriber chart. Let me look here and see exactly what we are at. Let me look at this here. 69,451 is our subscriber count currently. That's pretty cool, man. You guys are making it happen, and I appreciate everyone for subscribing. The channel's definitely been around for a while, but we've come a long way, and definitely continuing to move forward. And that's what we're going to do. We're getting ready for storm season as well. Me and Missy Mimi's will be headed out here probably in April or May sometime, depending on when the severe weather ramps up here in the springtime, to do some storm chasing. It's kind of like the other channel deal here. I know we got a lot of people that love storm chasing, a lot of people that just love earthquakes, but we kind of mix the two in there and provide coverage and whatnot for all that enjoy the channel. All right, guys, we're going to jump off here. Have a good night. Stay safe out there, and we will chat at you guys later. It's Friday night, so be safe out there.
Have a good night, guys.